It's locked. That's alright. See if I can wait for people to go live. Hopefully this will work. Well, somebody's on. What's up, Watchdog? Trying to get this camera to stick, so bear with me. Ugh. Sorry, moving around too much. Oh, come on. Let's see if that'll stick. Well, can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me all right. And, well, I'm sure by the title you guys pretty much know what I'm going to talk about. Given the nature of the events that have happened past couple days, started seeing kind of a trend. There we go. Started seeing a trend. Something that's kind of familiar to me. With all these shootings happening. I said it on a couple chats. And I'm going to say it here. So I'm going to say it here. But kind of feels like Iraq all over again with all these shootings happening. Popping shots, running away. Popping shots, running away. And, you know, it's got me thinking, you know, we talk a lot about civil war, but I don't think it's going to happen the way we think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen exactly how it's happening, insurgency style. The way Charlie Kirk was hit, the way these schools are being hit. I think it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be an insurgency in America from a certain demographic. And let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you think I'm just being crazy or spouting off some kind of conspiracy. But yeah, seeing all this happen, it's just like Iraq all over again. And you know, it's got me just wondering, shit, you know, what's gonna happen? How do you fight people in plain clothes? Hey, what's up there, Hoosier? Thank you. But yeah, I think a lot of people were hinting about civil war, and in their mind they're thinking force on force. And I don't think it's going to be a force on force. I think it's going to be an insurgency style thing, and I think it's already happening. And I think what happened with Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, reinforced that. Because most of these people know that if they were to get in a force on force fight with us, with, you know, mainly the right, who is way more armed than the left is, they would lose. And I think they're doing exactly, you know, what the insurgents did. And I think they're doing it to try to get people to get scared. Not only get scared, but have the mindset of, don't have these kind of rallies, don't do this because my children are there. You know, it's kind of similar to what happened in Iraq. You know, they would hate us because they would just commit these acts of violence on the local populace, and they didn't want us there because of that. You know, that was kind of the mentality. And, you know, I see that happening here. And I don't know, what do you guys think? See, it looks like I got 11 people on. But I'm doing this from my phone, guys, so let me know if the service isn't very good. Oh. I don't know if you guys can hear the music in the background. There's like a concert going on. It says my Wi-Fi is doing pretty good. But Friday night, enjoying a beer. And, you know, everyone's trying to ask what's causing this. Why is this happening? And my opinion, it started with the destruction of the nuclear family. You know, getting rid of fathers in the home. You have generations of people, generations, a few generations of so many boys growing up without fathers. And they don't know how to be men because there was never a man in the home, and all they've ever had is a woman in the house. And that's no disrespect to the women. They're doing everything they can, but a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. I'm sorry, can't. And I think it's why a lot of these people want to be, a lot of these boys are growing up wanting to become women because all they've known is a woman in their house. And we have ideologies where people are so indoctrinated they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to believe it. You know, we've gotten to the point where people say, "Well, that's your truth." Well, truth is not. Truth is not relative. Truth is objective. There is the truth and there is a lie. And I think that's where it started, with the destruction of the... Thanks, Travis. Appreciate it. But I think that's where it started, with the destruction of the nuclear family. And until we get men, fathers back in the home, the nuclear family back, I don't think we'll ever get back to the way it used to be. That's where it needs to start, plain and simple. You know, back in the 1950s, you had kids going to school with guns in their vehicles and shootings didn't happen. Nobody, you know, that wasn't happening. And now, you get people getting murdered just for exercising their First Amendment rights. I mean, what's it like to be so weak that somebody bringing truth, I mean, just hurts you enough to where you will commit murder? But I think it's already happened, and I think it is going to be like how I think it's just going to keep going. This is an insurgency. It's a local insurgency on American soil. And again, that's just my opinion. You know, I think it's going to get a lot worse. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to incite anything, but I definitely ordered some ammo. See what happens if the welfare stuff. Yeah, that's true. That's actually what happened. They told women, get the man out of the house, divorce him, and marry the government instead, and we'll put you in housing and give you food and give you everything. But you can't have a man in the house. That was how it was. Fire's dying, guys. I gotta put some fire on it. Put some firewood on it. Bear with me. Feel free to talk about it in the comments, guys. I don't want to be the only one talking. What's your opinion? Looking forward to hearing them. We're not dealing with more religious people. Yeah, Chris, very true. So, I don't know why I just seeing that. I just came through. So, I'm going to get some firewood. See what that does. Cheers, everyone. that we need God back and everything. You know, is it, yeah. Oh man, that's a okay. I'm going to say something controversial. It might be controversial there, Mike. It's interesting that you said that. Um, did you delete it? You know, a lot of people say that we are a Christian nation, but the reality is the United States has never had an official religion. Okay, we've never said the official religion of the United States is Christianity or anything like that. I mean, the First Amendment, the main part of it is freedom of religion. So how can you have a official religion if the First Amendment is freedom to worship whatever you want? It begs a good question, and I'm not dissing the First Amendment at all. Um, but if you look through history, you know, in Europe, back in the day, um, monarchies had an official religion, especially during the Middle Ages when it was all Catholic monarchies. But that's something to think about. Something to think about. Um, how do you build morals in a country that how do you build morals in a country that has no official that rejects the founder of morality? So what about the original colonies whose state's constitution had pledged to Christ? That's true. You're right. I'm not saying that Christianity wasn't there. I'm just saying it was never dubbed like an official religion of the country. You know, we say under God, but well, okay. The word Allah, it just means God. You know, so um, and this is coming from me. I'm a very devout Roman Catholic, so I'm just stating things. You know, I think we're deluded ourselves about God being in America's corner by default. Yeah, yeah. You know, oh, there was an old saying. It's a saying about a child writing a letter to God, saying, you know, where were you when the school shootings happened? And God responded back saying, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed in schools. You know, that's been said a lot, but you know, but anyway, back to the title. You know, okay, true. Uh, I think again, I think that what's happening is we're witnessing the rise of an insurgency in this country. Uh, there are videos of them saying, we're going to take up arms, we're going to take up arms. And I mean, here they are, you know. Can't buy food. Yeah, American Harley Rider, 8. That's a good point. People need to start learning how to hunt and fish, trap. That is definitely a good point. You know, it's interesting how we can be in debt yet still be a superpower. That feels like an oxymoron to me. Yeah, it's interesting. I've known so many people, and I'm trying to be, oh, what's the word? I don't want to say respectful, but we're seeing a certain demographic of people lately who are doing these shootings. Maybe not with Charlie. I mean, if, you know, they say they caught the guy. Maybe it's him. Maybe he's a fall guy. I don't know. I hope it's him. I mean, I hope he's caught and brought to justice. You know, but federal government starts missing Social Security and military payroll checks. Well, I don't know. I mean, I remember when I was in the military. I remember I was in the Army. I think like 2012, 2013, around that time. I got out in 2014. I retired, and they were talking about when the government shut down and the military services weren't getting paid, weren't going to get paid. You know. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, I agree. I think it needs to. I think we need to be cautious about it though, um, because we are on our own soil, and the perception sometimes can be, depending who you're at. I mean, I'm not saying don't. I think yes, self defense definitely. Always being prepared. I was thinking. There's a famous YouTuber, Benny. Someone. They're calling Charlie Kirk a martyr, and it's making me wonder. Like, I mean, when Trump was almost assassinated, or whatever, a lot of people said that solidified his seat in the White House. Well, now you've had a successful assassination, and I think the Dems are probably freaking out. I think they're going insane right now. I think they're thinking, "Oh man, we're cooked. No one's going to vote for us now." Which I disagree to a certain extent. You shouldn't vote on a knee jerk reaction like that. Lines will be blurry, and we have to have a policy of response, not become assailants. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, that's true. It's going to be keeping your head on a swivel because you never know. You never know. And the thing is, from what I gather, that somebody did a survey on in Utah, that college. A lot of people are thinking, "Oh, it's college; it's just liberal." But from what I gather, the percentage of the people on that campus were actually more conservative. It's why the security was actually as low as it was, believe it or not. Um, you know, a lot of people are saying it was a hit. It was planned, and based on what I've seen, I wouldn't put it past it to be planned. By who? I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be blurry. It's gonna get crazy. Um, Dangerous freedoms. Good evening. Thanks for hanging out with me in the fire. But yeah, I gotta tell you, this sucks. I think of my children. I think of my wife. I think of my kids. What they're gonna grow up in. What kind of environment that's gonna be. I don't think we're considering those things. I think we get this response where we're gonna jump up and fight. We're gonna do this, and um, you know, I'm thinking about my kids, man. I don't want them to be around that crap. I want them to grow up in a peaceful country. Watchdog. I don't think he was wearing plates. There are shots where you can see his shirt, and you can see like his nipples through his shirt. Um, you know, um, I think the reason why his shirt kicked up was because when the round entered, when a round travels, it also like kind of sucks the air behind it, and I think that's what happened. Um, that's why his shirt blew up the way it is. It was kind of like suction from the round, if you will. Uh, did anybody? Did everybody here? Did you guys actually see it happen? Did you see the footage? I saw it. I mean, I saw it, the footage, and so it was easy to kind of, you know, seen somewhere that he was. Then I was watching and couldn't tell. Yeah, no, he was not wearing any kind of protection, body armor. I think a lot of this will manifest itself. and attacks of opportunity and unsuspecting members of the opposite political camp. Yeah, um, that's a good point, Chris. I took a headshot and didn't account for the drop. Got lucky and hit the neck. Well, he was from an elevated position. Um, that could definitely have some potential, or definitely have some effect on it. You know, yeah, it was rough. Um, Seen a lot of crazy things, but which, if anything, that footage, you watch movies, you watch people being shot in movies, and none of it is like how it really is in real life. Absolutely, I mean, none of it is. None of it is like how it is. 200 yards and under 30 degrees won't affect the path that much. Yeah. I mean, we could what if all day long. I don't want to become the what if police. I mean, what happened happened. And it sucks. It sucks when a guy who had um I mean, he was at least had the balls enough to go on these campuses and engage these people and like debate. You know, he let them speak, and he defended whatever it was they spoke. I think that's the definition of being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. I think that's pretty cool. You know, yard shot, and I did see the footage. Definitely not what I was expecting. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely not like it is in the movies. When you see people get shot, their facial expression looks different. Everything's different, and it's actually, in my opinion, it's more scary. Um, guess everybody left. So I only got one person on now. I probably won't stay on for too long, but it's Friday night. Thought I'd go live and just talk about it. But yeah, same thing. People just popping shots, taking off, popping shots, taking off, popping shots, taking off. And or offing themselves after that, taking the cowardly way out because they don't want to face the music. But that's how it was in Iraq. You had suicide bombers. You had people would just pop shots, run away. You know, because they knew what would happen, and these people know it too. So I think this is just going to keep going the way it is. I finally understand why a lot of these people love Palestine and Islam so much, because their belief system is identical: convert or be killed. Um, Even though the Muslims hate them. Yeah, but I'm just just keep thinking about my kids, what they have to grow up in, and the only thing I can do is just be the best father I can, best husband. It's really all we can do, guys. It starts in the home, man. You know, um, the only way you can really fight people is raise them upright, so that you can have raised the next generation upright over and over and over and over again, and increase the good of society as best as you know how. No different other than the lie that we were keeping it overseas. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true, man. They said they would destroy us from within. Yeah, that's the best way. That's how war is. War has changed. I I mean, except for maybe Ukraine, that was pretty much force on force. But Ukraine wasn't a superpower. You know, we are, and there's a lot of money involved. I honestly don't think we'll ever be attacked by a country per se. Um, because there's too much money to be lost on all sides. Just my opinion. Except for maybe some brave third world country who doesn't care about money. Well, even they care about money. And thanks for sticking around, guys. Appreciate it. 26 minutes in. Share this if you guys want. I don't know how to do that, man. Like I said, I'm just doing this for my phone. Oh, man. People almost forgot about 9/11 too, because of what happened. It's like it happened literally the day before, like on the 10th. I mean, those 2 days now are like so close together. I mean, you know, that's what's crazy about it. I hardly see. I saw a few people talk about 9/11. Remember, never forget, never forget. How quickly we forgot. Now don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that. Yes, we should have focused on what the recent event that happened, but you know, this is what an insurgency is. Everybody in plain clothes. And then what do? Do you beef up security? Do we beef up our airports again? Do we search everybody coming onto a college campus? Do we militarize our police? Do we call in the National Guard? Do we declare martial law? How do you do that? Do we form militias, task forces? Hint, hint, wink, wink. All I know is we need to keep training, keep our heads up on a swivel, and keep building our preps and building up our community. Yeah, community is a big thing. Um, you know, especially in this time. But it's all gonna get. They're doing this under the guise of freedom, stating that oh, this we're free. We're free. This is we're all free, and the reality is these people are slaves to their own devices, and they don't even know it. But they think it's free. They think they're free. Yeah, I've had low intensity conflict since 2015. If you came back in 2017 after a 2-year double deployment, and was like, what the fuck? Are you talking about yourself there, Dangerous Freedoms? He have had a low intensity conflict. Like, do you mean we? Oh, you came back in. Okay. Not much. There, Hoosier. Not much. Same conversation. Talking about what do we do now? Oh, we as a country. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think we got complacent a little bit. You know, I think we get too comfortable. I remember I was at basic training when 9/11 happened. And even myself at that time thought, oh no, that can't happen. No, that's not going to happen. And it did. And it keeps happening. Freaking insane, man. So how do we fight an insurgency on American soil? Yeah, I feel you, man. Do we fight an insurgency here like we did in Iraq, where we're, patrolling the streets in Bradleys and freaking LMTVs and MRAPs and up armored 1151s, presence patrols? Do we? What do we do? I don't think we. I don't think we. I don't want that to happen. Do we? Do we shun a demographic? I mean, or do we just accept the fact that, you know what, with freedom comes danger, and you have to live. If you want freedom, you have to live in a dangerous society. Um, a lot of people were saying, in COVID. I remember in COVID, what happened was people. What were they saying? They were saying, is freedom more important than safety? I mean, Charlie believed that. I mean, he said it. He said it. He said that something like, I forget how it was quoted, but you're gonna have deaths if you're gonna have guns. If you have the right, you're gonna have and you're gonna have right wing extremists. You know, Randall was in a chat. He said that we have our lunatics on this side as well. You know, but yeah. How to identify the insurgents before they attack. The problem is wrong groups are being targeted and suppressed. The light needs to shine in the other direction. Freedom comes with danger two ways. Yeah, it is a two-way street. I agree. Yep. Understand Alexander Douglas' fourth political theory. You understand MAGA. You understand Putin. You'll understand what is going on. Okay. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm just a dumb grunt there, McLean, so you're going to have to use small words. I freely admit that. Oh. Yeah, the wrong groups are being targeted and suppressed. Yeah. That's the price of living in a free country, you know. How much safety then do you sacrifice? I mean, if we say that everybody should have the right to the Second Amendment, well, does that include the people who oppose us? You know? It will be intensity spikes during midterms and then again in 2028. We'd be lucky to make it in 2030 without something major. Yeah, I got to be honest, just my opinion. I think this country is I wouldn't necessarily say doomed, but not. I don't think it'll ever be what it used to be. At least until we get the nuclear family back, which, you know, it'll never be what it once was. In Europe they called us the new Roman Empire, and well, the Roman Empire fell. So, you know, I mean, we might still be here. We might still be called the United States, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't know. So what are you guys doing? You guys prepping? Everybody prepping out there? Everybody buy ammo? I just bought ammo. I bought like 500 rounds. I already have about 300. So, Are the shelves still full at the gun stores after what happened? I'm not promoting it, just being pragmatic. No, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. Yeah, you're just addressing the issues, man. Um, I think that's the other stigma is when you start talking about this, people assume you're promoting it. They assume, oh, you want this to happen. No, hell no. I mean, the saying still goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Um, again, of course, I'll teach my children to defend themselves, to be strong, upstanding, but at the same time, choose peace first, you know, as best as they can anyway. Uh, Fighting an insurgency is it's the most dangerous war. And if you think about it, that's kind of how we started. I mean, against the Brits, against the British, you know. I mean, we were kind of in. I mean, we were and we weren't in the Revolutionary War. There were times where it was like an insurgency, where it was a kind of a guerrilla warfare style. Where we were actually going behind trees while they were marching down the road, and we were just popping shots left and right because they outnumbered us. And now that's kind of flipped. We're standing out in the debating, and boom, shot popped, run away, run to the next place. Because they know it on a force on force full scale assault they would lose, and lose royally. And in this type of war and an insurgency, it's not there's no such thing as Geneva Conventions. There's no such thing as a fair fight. There's no honor. There's no honor in it. In my opinion, if you ask me, I think the best time in human history when it came to war or conflict was, and don't get me wrong, I love my guns, I love my, ARs and all that stuff, but you go back to the medieval period, you go back to pre-gun invention, how war was fought. Armies would meet on a field, the leaders would go out and negotiate first, and if they couldn't come to an agreement, you charged. Those were men. I mean, imagine that, sprinting down a field towards your opponent and then swinging a huge melee weapon, sword, axe, whatever it was you had, until either you died or everybody else was dead. But you stood toe to toe with your enemy. I mean, that close. And I think that's a lost art. And again, I'm not against. I love shooting. I love having my guns. I'm not against that, but you know, ugh. What time is it? Oh, 10:05. Appreciate everyone for staying here as long as you had. Feel free to drop a comment. What do you think? Do we have an insurgency in the United States, in America, based on the events that have happened? School shootings. You have these people writing all over their weapons too. I heard a rumor that um, on the actual casing of the bullet, the guy wrote, "Hey, fascists, catch this," or something like that. Which, I don't know. That seems like a lot to write on a casing. You had the trans kid who shot up that Catholic school while they were praying. He all over. Where's your God? The body of Christ. All these things. There is no middle ground to be had. Sounds crazy, but I just published a fiction book about sleeper cells on Amazon. Oh, that's cool. Hey, share the link. Is it like a novel, like a story, or you said it was fiction, so I'm assuming it's like a novel of some kind. Yeah, post the link, man. That's pretty sweet. What's the or just what's the title of it? Go look that up. That's that's awesome, dude. The Kingmaker and the Calvin Christian fiction. Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Definitely have to look that up. Hey, Swish, just joined. How's it going, Ryan? So just join. What's your opinion? Do you think we have an insurgency in the United States? You think recent events that, people have been talking about civil war for a long time. I think the civil war has already happened, but it's going to be in the form of an insurgency. It's going to be in the form of what's happening. Yeah, not coordinated, just people plain clothes. You know, maybe not an organized one. It might be just individuals. Neighbors letting their dog out, so the light's on now. Got 9 people on. And if you guys are on, go on Amazon and get. I apologize, Morgan, if you're still on. I mispronounced this. The Kingmaker and the Salafate Christian fiction novel. Go ahead and go get that. Check that book out. I'm gonna go put some more wood on the fire, guys. Nick, Bald Eagle, if you're on here, thanks for this awesome koozie. I call it the GWAT koozie. I think that eventually all of our enemies attack from within with multi-pronged coordinated attacks to overwhelm our system. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna suck. And then what do we have left? Then what do you do? I gotta be honest, I have no clue. Can I post the back cover synopsis? Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Freaking neighbors need to quit turning the damn light on. Neighbors' dogs barking. It's going to be up to the individual local groups. Yeah, form a community. I got a community going on with some really great guys. You can see them in my videos. People will become tribal. You know what? I honestly would be okay with that. Tribal living. Truth be told, it really wasn't. It's not that bad of a system. Uh-oh, here comes 2 Alpha Solutions, late to the game, but that's okay. He's doing important things right now anyway. More important than sitting here by a fire talking. So. Jared, did you just join, brother? If you did, what's your opinion? Do you think we have an insurgency here in the United States? man. We were all sitting around BSing. Those steaks look good on the grill. It's not bad in small populations, but tribes clash with each other. With other tribes, have internal disagreements, and form. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's no perfect government system, really. I mean, the states are kind of, if you think about it, they were originally supposed to be that way. Not, I mean, like on a giant level, where each state was supposed to govern themselves. Oh. But that, that didn't happen. But you know what? It all starts with, look. Here's the thing. I did a video a while back called "You're Given the Shepherds That You Deserve," and it was right around when Pope Leo got elected. Um, yeah, ideology problems. Yes, we do. Polar opposites. Most of our problems stem from the Constitution not being followed. Well, you know what? That's the thing. The Constitution not being followed. The problem is people don't know how to interpret it. Everybody is trying to interpret it their own way. So the question is, who decides how to interpret the Constitution, which probably might be, oh, I don't know, the forefathers who, you know, wrote it. um, but yeah, I did one called "You're Given the Shepherds That You Deserve," and when people say, "How do we get here? How do we get to this?" Well, we allowed it to happen slowly over time. Um, I think that yeah. Well, okay. The Bible's written in plain English too. Well, not originally, but how many different denominations of Christianity clash with each other using a lot of the same Bible verses but interpret it differently. You know, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's written in plain English, but then people will go, well, it means this and it means that, and it means this, and so you kind of have to have an outside source to say, no, this is what it meant. You know, um, because if you look at the First Amendment, it talks about freedom of religion, and then it says you have the right to petition government. People have literally interpreted that to, I can say whatever the hell that I want. Then some people just say, no, you only have the right to petition the government. Which is it? You know, which is it? Who decides what that really means? And I'm not, look, I love but the Constitution works when everyone, I don't want to say is like-minded, but everyone kind of assimilates to it, to what it means. Freedom of religion. Let's go with the First Amendment, because here's the thing. We all talk about First Amendment rights, and we all focus on the freedom of speech, but the main focus of the First Amendment was freedom of religion. Now you have people coming into this country say, wait, I have freedom of religion. My religion says if you don't convert, I can kill you. And if you prevent me from doing that, you're denying me my First Amendment rights. You're right. It is Imperfect Men, Steve, written by uh, written by Freemasons. But I digress. But that's what I mean. So then, do you amend the First Amendment to say freedom of religion, so as long as it doesn't harm anybody? Do you kind of add that in? Or do people think, no, we can't change it because, back then, it kind of raises that question. What happens when someone says, I have freedom of religion, and my religion says I can do all these crazy things, and you're not allowed to, discriminate me because of my religious convictions. So if I want to kill someone because they don't convert, well, that's part of my religion. And I'm protected under the First Amendment. What religion? Come on. It, Islam is probably the big one. If you look at history, Islam spread violently throughout the world. Christianity spread actually more peacefully, despite what secular history says. Some of it was violent, but that was just because the people, people are imperfect. But what do you do? What do you do if my religion says I can sacrifice a human being to my God? Like the Aztecs, and the Incas did. You say, oh, okay. What do you do when you have two religions that clash? What do you do when you have a religion that says, what do you do when you have a religion that says homosexuality is immoral, but then you have a religion that says, no, we're fine with that? You know, and guys, I'm not trying to. Here's the thing. I'm just asking questions. I'm just trying to raise like an eyebrow. You know, just to get people to think. That's not. I'm not trying to make absolute statements here. So please don't take it the wrong way when I say all these things. Why do we hate before teaching? I'm not saying anything about hate. I'm saying you have people who are taking the Constitution of the United States and they're saying this is what it says. And when they encounter resistance, they automatically, you're infringing. Like, okay, let's just say freedom of speech. Okay, does freedom of speech, does that mean, so we'll leave religion out of it, okay? We'll leave religion out of it. Freedom of speech, okay, does that mean you have the right to literally quite say whatever the hell you want? Or does it mean what it says, to petition the government against laws and things like that, you know? Because when you have a society where you have very, very hardcore conflicting ideologies, now you have to address those ideologies because they're hiding behind the Constitution. They're saying you're infringing on my right. You're infringing on my right to say I can marry whoever I want, to say I can become a woman, to say I can do all of these things, right? And now we're getting to the point where we're saying, well, no, we don't. Where people are being killed, so yes, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed because, well, it was a Catholic school where people were praying in church. So we say we can't have religion in it. Well, okay, when people in religious organizations are getting killed, children, then we need to talk about it. Not all cultures are equal, and not all religions are equal. I'm also saying this as a non-Christian. Yeah, no, that's true. Some religions are evil, some cultures are evil. That's true. That's true. So then what do you do if you have an evil religion in a constitution that says you have the freedom of religion? Do you say accept evil ones, and then how do you decide what's evil and what's not? Again, I'm just asking the question. Maybe it's rhetorical. I don't know. I like your handle, dangerous freedoms. I think that's perfect because freedom is dangerous, but and I think, people think freedom is safe, and people confuse freedom with I should be free to say whatever I want, and then and then and then not have consequence. Which brings another good. You say you have the freedom of speech. I have the freedom to say whatever I want without consequence. You know, I'm not saying that. It just kind of brings all that up. I mean, we're what, 250 years old, give or take? Well, what kind of American are you? One who's asking questions. That's what I am. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. He's quoting a movie. Oh. The right of the people to peaceably assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. Yeah. And that's great, Steve. I mean, a lot of people can ask what church you follow. I'm Scottish at the moment. I'm torn between churches. I don't like to stand up, ding, sit down type of church. It's what I was brought up, but I'm feeling it now, just in case anyone need it. McGinley, I'm a devout Roman Catholic. You're asking the question, so I'm going to answer it. So if you get offended, hey, you asked the question. It's really not about you, you know. Yeah, I get tired sometimes of standing up, sitting down, kneeling, but hey, you know, I don't go to church for me. I go to church to serve a being higher than me. And furthermore, with the standing and kneeling, I mean, if you're physically unable to, I mean, my parish priest understands that. Like, people who are elderly, he gets upset when they try to. He's like, no, sit down, you know. But thanks, Steve, for sharing that. That's good. I think what I'm getting at is how people really try to interpret that, and people twist it. The First Amendment, they twist it to their own deeds, you know, to their own, to try to justify what they're doing. So then you kind of have to have that conversation about interpretation. How is this interpreted, and who interpret? You know, what's the correct interpretation? A civil war, a revolution. I think it's going to be, like I said, insurgency. So it's not like a full-blown civil war, force on force. A revolution? No. I mean, maybe. Hanging out to be up at 4:30 work. Thanks there, Watchdog. Appreciate it, man. Hey, by the way, go to Watchdog Preparedness' page and give him a like and subscribe. Good dude. He's got, I think, one video, a couple shorts. Help him build his channel up. But yeah, when you talk about civil war, you know, I think it's kind of happening. It's more happening with mouths than it is, but then an insurgency type of civil war, because not everybody on that side is gonna you know, fucking Jared. But not everybody on that side is gonna be like that, you know. We live in a society now where words hurt people so bad that you can get killed for it. And you know what? I'm just gonna put this out. Even though I'm talking about this, there's still a lot of great places here in this country. We still have a lot of great privileges. We still have a lot of good things. I'm not trying to kind of be a downer in a sense. You know, there's a lot of good things that happen. A lot of good people. You know, guys like Jared, 2 Alpha Solutions, Watchdog Preparedness, all the, you know, guys I've trained with, Modern Minuteman, you know, Grunt Proof, Brent 0331, however many numbers. Yeah, I'm not a Marine, sorry. Freaking Stokermatic. You know, I go on and on, but Coleman. But there's a lot of good things that still happen. It's true. I appreciate your input. I've always tried to believe and be religious, but what I mean is there are many types, but the minister giving a little speech, then stand and sing, etc. Um, again, I guess I would say, McKinley, pray about that. Ask the Lord to show you the truth, and He will. Over time. Because I'm a Catholic, I'm going to say seek the intercession of the Blessed Mother. Um, you know, there's good people out there. Yes, I'm fortunate to have found a good group and have the space to train. That's awesome, dude. We do too. Me and Two Alpha Solutions. Maybe we could all hook up and get some training in, and you know, we could do some force on force, whatever. Yeah, no, there's a lot of good that still is happening in this country, but when Trump got elected, a lot of people said, "Oh, he's elected. Um, we can relax," and it was like, no, no, we can't. And the events that have happened. I mean, he's 9 months into his term. We've had trans kids shooting up churches. We've had Charlie. We haven't had an assassination. I mean, 9 months in. And I'm not saying that's all him, but I'm saying I think it's because people got complacent. People said, "We won. We're good. We can relax," and complacency set in. Someone up at 2 a.m. to draw weapons is hell to the no. Holy crap, man. Man, bring back memories. Um, Scottish Protestant, but we don't need to be enemies as most people try to play out. I grew up in the Catholic area, all best friends, etc., all Catholics. No, no, yeah, that's cool, man. Um, you could probably show, yeah, that's cool, man. Hope someday you do come to the Catholic Church. I grew up Protestant. I grew up in an independent Baptist King James only church, and converted back in 2023. And that's a long story, but you know, I'm not here to necessarily preach or anything like that. But 0300 hours and you'll bring your own weapons. Yeah, the UK protest tomorrow. Yeah. Draw weapons. I mean, 03. Don't worry. There are dangerous freedoms. Two Alpha Solutions. He'll fall asleep at night anyway. When the rest of us are up, actually adhering to the comms plan and changing freaks and stuff. But I digress. Both him and Steve. But they were also. You're not that old, man. Come on now. I'm only like 8 years behind you, dude. Or maybe something happens when you hit 50. I don't know. I don't know. I nodded off. As long as we are aligned, dangerous times ahead for sure. Do you not just wish you were born 50 years ago so you could enjoy your life? Um, do I? you know, I think it's easy to say that. I wish I was born in said time because life would be easier. I mean, the whole of human history is filled with struggle. Okay, I mean, you know, it's just a different kind of struggle. Each generation has their own set of BS, you know, and some are worse. I mean, think about the Depression, the Great Depression, you know, what was that like? You have ups and downs. I was born in the 80s. I can still remember the 80, early. I was born in 82. I can still remember the 80s, and I had a great time. 90s, um, but no, I don't. I'm as much struggle as we're dealing with. I'm still grateful to be here on this planet. I'm, I can live. I got a beautiful wife, 4 children, 1 grandchild. Um, so no, I wouldn't give that up for nothing. To go back and live in certain times. I think that's just nostalgia. You know, we look at what we see happening and we think, oh, maybe, I mean, yeah, I think that all the time, man. You know, and I think that's because we were kids. When you're kids, you don't think about those things, and you become adults and you start thinking about it more. So I think that's ultimately what happens. Yeah, the 80s and 90s were great, man. They were great. They were good times. Climbing trees. That's starting to happen now. A lot of Gen Zs are actually, like my son. I mean, yeah, he's got his tablet, but we're getting him outside. You know, all this was going on then, just in the back. Yeah, that's true, Steve. You know, um, I mean, like I said, it's just kind of rinse and repeat cycle. The good times create weak men, weak men. Well, you've all heard that, I'm sure. It's just the human whatever. Yep, my childhood in the '90s was fantastic. I just wish I was a bit before. Great, it could be right nostalgic. Yeah, it could be. You weren't even allowed off the porch yet. Well, Jared, I mean the '80s. You're right, but again, you have to discuss that with my parents, as I had no say in my conception or birth. You had good to make up for G1, I guess. Yeah. Speaking of which, here is my GWAT koozie, courtesy of Nick at Bald Eagle Adventure. If he's watching, thank you. Oh, Scarecrow. Oh, the lifeguard's there. What's up, Scarecrow? I've been on for an hour. I'm surprised people are still on. Thanks, guys, again for sticking around this long. It's pretty sweet. Man, you guys are awesome. Or you have nothing better to do on a Friday night, which shows we're showing our age, right? Yeah, we are bored. I missed the first golf forum, was out by the time GWAT kicked off. Jared, you didn't, be glad, man. I'm not bored, man. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. These were fun. Fast bikes, Kern hunt, and black snake bite. My brother was the same to Alpha. He is 10 years older than me. Cartels in the 90s. Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear the traffic in the background? There's a loud motor, man, going down Gump Road. Freaking idiots. where I live when I first moved here, it was quiet, and everybody got the idea and moved out here, and now it's building up, and I hate it. I had my first child at 15, damn, and then second at 17. You started early. I've always done my very best, and now they're 20 and 17. Both stay with me for my sins, I think, as their mom lives the free life. Uh, well, I'm glad you got your kids, man. I love my kids, man. I love them. Children are a burden and a joy at the same time. And grandkids are God's reward for not killing your own kids when you thought about it. And if you say you haven't thought about it, you're a liar. Well, guys, it's been over an hour. I think I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody staying on with me, man. You guys are awesome. And, yeah, hopefully we can all work together and get rid of this poison that's infested our country. I'm skeptical, but I guess we'll see. So I'm going to bow out. Drug war is kicking off again. You could go. Yeah, you guys have a good night too. And now I just got to figure out how to hang up, actually. All right. Have a good night, you guys. See you later.